All right, we're going to do a quick review of some patterns, and then we're going to talk about two new patterns today. So we're going to use what we know, and let's look at this one. Create a pattern that follows the same rule. So we've been talking about how patterns have a rule. So let's look at this pattern down here. Read it out loud with me. 27, 37, 47, 57, 67, 77, 87, 97. So what did you hear happening when we read those out loud? Well, if you've noticed that each one of these ends in a 7, that's true. In fact, each time we moved up to a different number, the numbers were getting bigger, and they were getting bigger by 10. If we start at 27 and we add 10, we end up on 37. And that's true for every single one of these. From 37, add 10 is 47. 47, add 10 is 57. So the rule for this pattern was add 10. Well, we had to discover that first in order to follow the next set of directions. And the directions say, create a pattern that follows the same rule as this one, but we need to come down here and use different numbers. So let's say we started off with the number 15. Now the rule says add 10. So if we're going to add 10, think, what is 15 plus 10? And if you need to jot something on your notebook, you can pause the video and do a 15 plus 10, and then unpause the video so that you can check your work. Okay, so 15 plus 10, if you wrote down on your notebook is 25, you're right on track. So let's try it again. Let's follow the same rule, but see, we're doing this rule of plus 10, but we started off using different numbers. So if we had 15 and the next number in our pattern was 25, what comes next? Go back and follow the rule of plus 10. You can pause the video and see if you can figure out what would happen next in this spot. Okay, 25 plus 10, if you wrote 35, you're right on track. In fact, to continue, you get to 45 and so on. Okay, let's try it one more time. Are you ready? Let's look at this next pattern. Okay, directions are the same. We have a pattern. We see it's using numbers. We have to make sure that it's growing or shrinking. And then we have to figure out what's the rule, because the directions say, create a pattern that follows the same rule that this one is, but we got to use different numbers. So let's take the time to look at this pattern and figure out what's the rule. Let's read it out loud. 86, 88, 86, 84, 82, 80, 78, 76, 74, 72. Well, I know you've noticed that the numbers are getting smaller. By how much? What's the rule to go from 88 down to 86? You can pause if you want to figure it out on your notebook. If you've decided and discovered that it's take away 2, then you're right. And 86, take away 2, is it 84? Take away 2, it goes down to 82. 82, let's follow that rule again and take away 2, whoops, and take away 2. And if you're at 82 and you take away 2, you land on 80. So this is the rule. All right, now we're going to try it with different numbers. So I'm going to write a number. You're going to practice using this rule, and you're going to make your own pattern. So once I give you the number, pause the video and see if you can figure out the next 4 or 5 numbers in the pattern. Okay, here we go. On your notebook, write the number 30. And then try to figure out the next three numbers in this pattern. Don't forget what the rule is. We have to follow the same rule that this pattern up here used. Pause the video. All right, if you figured this out, you went from 30, you followed the rule and took away 2. So if you said 28, you're right on track. And 28 minus 2 is 26. And 26 minus 2 is 24. So good job. The next thing that I want to show you, the next thing I want you to think about is what we've learned so far this week. We've worked on repeating patterns with numbers like 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. We've also learned how to do repeating patterns with shapes. Circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle. We've learned how to do growing patterns with numbers. Look at this one and see if you can figure out how it's growing. 2, 5, 8, 11. Notice it's getting bigger by how many? If you said we keep adding 3, you're right on track. And so now what I want to talk to you about is how to grow patterns with shapes. And it looks like this. Look at all that we've learned so far. That's awesome. Okay, so get your pencil ready. And I want you to first take a look at what we have here. Notice I have a pattern, and with my pattern, I have a picture. And with my picture right here, I see that I have 2 dots. 1, 2. On your notebook, draw these 2 dots for me, please. So you should have drawn on your notebook 2 dots. Okay, let's look at the next image. We have the 2 dots that we had earlier. There they are, but it's changed some. Notice it's changed because they've added a dot on top and a dot on the bottom. So they've made a slight change. So on your paper, let's do that again. Let's go ahead and draw the 2 dots that we started with, and then add a dot on the top and the dot on the bottom, just like they did. Notice our pattern is growing bigger. First, we started off with 2 dots, and now we have 4. All right, time to look at it again. Let's go back over here and look at this. Here's our 2 dots that we started off with. And notice with the 2 dots that we started off with, here's the 2 that they added. But now they've added more. They've added 1 there, and they've added 1 there. So your turn. Let's copy what they did. Put the 2 dots you started off with. Then let's add the 2 dots on the top and bottom. Good. Now they've added more. 1 more on the top and 1 more on the bottom. So copy that. So boys and girls, if you've been building this pattern, now I want you to think about what you've seen that's been changing. Can you figure out what I'm hiding behind this box right here? So get your pencils ready. Let's draw this pattern that we already know. Our 2 dots. Then they added 1 on top and 1 on bottom. Then they did it again. All right, what do you think is behind the box? Press pause. All right, let's check it out. Behind the box is, they added 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. And if your picture looks like that, you're right on track. Let's check out one more. This one's pretty simple. Can you see what's changing in this pattern as it's growing? See if you can pause, draw on your notebook, and see if you can figure out what I'm hiding behind this box. All right, let's see if it matches what you drew. 1 dot, 2 red dots, 3, 4. They still kept that the same. Good job. All right, so today and tomorrow we're going to practice looking at all the different patterns that we've looked at, repeating numbers, repeating patterns, growing numbers, and growing shapes. And then we'll see how you do on Friday when I ask you some key questions. Good job. Yeah, comma, Bill is frustrated today, period. I just tell my kids, get to it when you can, period. I post everything late at night, so I know that it's waiting for the kids when they get there.